Hey kiddies, it's Triple Feature Tuesday, and this week we're going to look at Jason Voorhees' Long Weekend. That's right, kiddies, that glorious day is upon us once again. Friday the 13th is this week, and it's very important because this is the only Friday the 13th in the entire year of 2014, which is a shame. There will be two next year, so we can make up for it, but it's important that everybody watch Friday the 13th this year, and also to not actually go outside, because not only is it a Friday the 13th, it's also the full moon, so shit's gonna get crazy. But you can avoid all sorts of craziness by just having a friendly party with friends and alcohol and, violence, on the screen, not in your actual home, because that would just be wrong. As one would imagine, it gets tricky having a triple feature about a film series involving 12 films over and over and over again, but we're gonna every time. This time around, I think this one's good because we haven't really gone over the bulk of these movies. Our menu is going to include Friday the 13th Part 2, 3D, and Part 4, the final chapter. What's great about this one is that we haven't really covered 2 or 3 really at all in the series, at least since I started doing the videos. We did 4 with the Tommy cycle because that begins the Tommy cycle, but this one's really crazy when you think about it because all 3 of these movies pick up where the previous one left off, with the exception of 2. There's at least a year between Friday the 13th, the first, and then Part 2. But 2, 3, and 4 each rides the heels of the other, as evidenced not only by the first 15 minutes of each film being, the last 15 minutes of the previous film, but just timing. You see the cops cleaning up from the previous film, and then Jason somehow getting away. Keep in mind, this is before Jason became God's holy enforcer of morality. Jason was just a dude, and just somehow hard to kill him. We start with Friday the 13th Part 2, which as I said, takes place about a year after the previous film. Alice is just living in her apartment, hiding from the world, mainly because she survived a very, very terrible traumatic ordeal. And to make matters worse, Jason has come to pay her a call. Now, Tom, you ask, where the hell has Jason come from? Because the whole raison d'etre of Pamela Voorhees in the first film, and as explained in that film previous years, is that she's murdering campers in revenge for the negligent death of her son while drowning. Well, this is the movie that explains that Jason just didn't die. Honest to God, that's the explanation. Not only did he not die, but he just went off to live in the woods like the hydrocephalic, mentally challenged person that he is. Which, I'm going to put it out there, it makes absolutely no sense. This is one of the stupidest explanations for the existence of a heretofore dead character. The one whose death was so central to the establishing film that it's almost insulting. On the other hand, I really sort of like that they didn't try to resurrect Pamela. They didn't try to go supernatural all of a sudden. There's just another killer, and he's killing out of revenge for her. Now, Pamela is legit for real dead. You will see her corpse and, severed head, severed by Alice. We're going to get back to her at the end of the film. I should probably mention there's going to be spoilers for all of these movies, these very, very formulaic movies that are over 30 years old. Deal with it. So Jason manages to find Alice and get his revenge on Alice for killing Pamela Voorhees, who was killing all of Alice's friends out of revenge for camp counselors neglecting Jason, resulting in his death, even though it didn't. Otherwise, he wouldn't be around to kill Alice. And you see the circle of death that is Friday the 13th. It's miraculous. So, Friday the 13th, Part 2. Jason gets the work out of the way, and now is free to have fun. Or is it the other way around? Did he have fun in killing the killer of his mother and is now free to continue the good work. Either way, there's a group of nubile young adults training to be camp counselors. That's what's fun. The only actual movie where the camp is actually the only movie where the camp is actually open is number 6, and all the other ones is either a lake house or some sort of preparation thing. The first film, they were renovating Camp Crystal Lake. In the second one, it's a training seminar, for camp counselors, and all sorts of tips and tactics, because being a camp counselor is a very professional job, apparently. Or at least the guy that runs it, Paul, takes it very seriously and has no time for hijinks with his sort of girlfriend, played by Amy Steele. Very, very cute girl. Since there are people having fun at Camp Crystal Lake, Jason has to murder everybody, and proceeds to. Not everybody, actually. It's very, very interesting what happens in the film. The first, we get 2 people get killed right off the bat. Alice and poor Crazy Ralph actually, finally gets his doom, which is a shame. That the actor that plays Crazy Ralph would actually come back sort of as the narrator for the opening of Friday the 13th Part 7. Yeah, 7. He does the opening narration, and it's sort of nice. But what's neat is that the group of camp counselors in training, or honing their skills, they split up into 2 groups. There's a group that stays behind at the camp for various reasons, and then there's another group that goes out to the town and to the bar. And they go out and they drink and they smoke and they have a good time. And while Ginny and Paul end up coming back, the bulk of them stay out and start going for after-hours places, even including Ted, the asshole prankster, who is actually probably my second favorite character in the whole movie, because he's just funny. So what's neat is that all the people that stayed behind and didn't go to the seedy bar die. And everybody that went to the seedy bar live. This is the one time in the entire Friday the 13th series, and possibly slasher films as a whole, where drinking and having a good time saved lives. In regard to our people that stuck behind, a lot of great deaths. There's upside down throat slashing. There's the double bed penetration. But the pièce de résistance is the machete into the face of the poor dude in the wheelchair that has a really great attitude about being in the wheelchair. Nobody has a good attitude about getting a machete in the face. And not only does he get a machete in the face, but it sends him rolling down the longest flight of stairs in Friday the 13th history. Next to the porta potty death, this might be the funniest goddamn thing in a Friday the 13th movie. But Jason himself, he's not actually like the Jason we know and love yet. Not just with the superpowers, but he hasn't gotten the look down. I mean, you can sort of picture this as his formative high school or college years, where he's starting to really find himself. He is covering up his face, so he knows he wants to do that, but he's using this little sack to do it. And he's wearing overalls because he's a wild, feral human being, and that means overalls and button-down shirts. Plaid, to be sure, but, button-down still. And he ends up chasing Amy Steele around, trying to get revenge on everybody for killing his mother. And Amy actually ends up using psychology against Jason by pretending to be Jason's mother and ordering him to stop. And that sort of worked for a second. I mean, credit to her, will to win. I don't know that I would want to put on Dead Woman's sweater and, try to talk my way out of the slasher killing me. So, credit to her. Next, we have Friday the 13th, Part 3D. Yeah, this one went 3D, and it's really obvious. I love the beginning of the whole film, because not only do we get the super duper disco version of the Friday the 13th music, but everything's coming at you. It gets really obvious with like the guy readjusting a pole or the snake jumping out and everything. And it's really, really hokey and silly. And Jason has, of course, after getting stabbed kind of here by everybody, and the second movie has just gotten up and walked away because Jason is presumably too dumb to realize that he's been mortally wounded, so he just gets up and walks off. Finds people, murders them, and basically a day after the events of number two, a whole new group of people have gone to a lake house on Camp Crystal Lake. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this is probably my second least favorite Friday the 13th. Final Jason Goes to Hell, the Final Friday is my absolute. I just detest that movie. It's just terrible. But number three is kind of close because it's really boring and it just kind of meanders around and you don't care about anybody. And don't get me wrong, you're not really supposed to care about anybody in a slasher movie. They're just fodder. But I mean, you really, I don't think I've ever known any character's name from the movie other than Shelly, the annoying fuzzy-haired dude. And if you don't know Shelly's name by the end of the movie, because everybody's always yelling at him because he's an asshole, then you really haven't been paying attention at all, which is really difficult because it's coming at you. Part of what makes it so hard to get into or to care about the characters is that there's this group of like eight or so. Chris, friends. Yeah, there's about 8 people that are going to this lake house in a van, and they don't really go together. I mean, there's the main character, and she's friends with the girl and a couple, and they're all presumably friends with Shelley, even though nobody likes Shelley whatsoever. I mean, he's just this full-on jackass, just messing with everybody for jokes that aren't funny at all. And what's fun is that the actor playing Shelley wasn't really an actor. He was a pizza delivery man who was delivering a pizza to the producers and writers of Friday the 13th Part 3. And when he found out that's what they were working on, he got so excited and like showed so much enthusiasm that said, "Hey, sure, throw him in there," which, kind of gives you an idea how much effort they were putting into this movie. In addition to all of them, and they pick up another friend that, Shelley will not hook up with, even if he were the last man on the planet Earth. In addition to all of them, there's these 2 hippies that are just there, and they barely speak at all, let alone to these people, so I've never really understood what's going on with that. In addition to them, there's the 3 biker assholes that Shelley pisses off when they're just going into town for supplies. And in addition to all of them is Farmer Friend Zone, buddy of the main girl whose lake house this is. And so they're all there, but they're all doing their own thing. And so, again, one of the interesting things about a good slasher is that it should take place in roughly 12 to 24 hours and in such a way that nobody knows what's going on until it's too late. And this one, it's sort of too easy because none of these people seem to be friends. A lot of good gags with the 3D and like eyeball popping out and some good deaths. But this one is, you can't get rid of it. It's an actual very important film because this is the first one where Jason puts on the hockey mask. And that is the look forever for Jason. And he has ditched the overalls and now just has a blue shirt and matching pants. And the hockey mask, which was left around by, of course, Shelley, because Shelley just ruins everything, including this movie, just horrible. But this is day 2 of Jason's long weekend, culminating in Friday the 13th, Part 4, the final chapter, aside from the other 8 that came after. And this is one of my favorites. This is just one of the best Friday the 13th. Whenever, if somebody were to ask me to pick one to show to somebody that's never seen any of them, this would be the one because everything is perfectly balanced. between the gore and the characters being, just interesting enough to hold your attention and then being murdered, and of course, a heaping helping of boobs. Jason, having been having his neck maybe broken, but definitely strangled, and then having a machete put here into his head, gets up and leaves the morgue, kills Fackler from Police Academy, and runs off back to Crystal Lake, where the Jarvis family, with Corey Feldman as Tommy Jarvis, greets the arrival of yet another group of nubile young adults that are there for the weekend to drink and party down. And oh, do they party! There's much drinking, there's skinny dipping, there is dancing, there is probably some pot, but not really shown. And it's just an overall good time. Everybody's fun and having fun, and then wandering off to a different room and getting murdered horribly by Jason, who is just at the top of his game. I mean, he's had 2 days worth of practice. He has just got this shit down. He's throwing people out the window. He's using corkscrews to kill people. He's stabbing people through a life raft. It's really impressive, all the different ways he goes about getting rid of people, including our big hero dude who ends up being completely ineffectual. You do get the sense that this was designed to be the last one, even though it wasn't, if only with Jason being horrifically murdered, or not murdered, but mutilated to death by Corey Feldman, of all people. Corey just turns Jason's head into a milk dud, to quote Joe Bob Briggs. Love that man. Again, it's really kind of insane because all 3 of these movies take place over a 3-day period, maybe 4 if you stretch things out timing-wise. But Jason just kills about 30 people in 3 days, and that's before he had superpowers. It's really something, and that's probably what I'm going to be doing with my Friday the 13th this year on a full moon. I hope everybody else has a safe and happy Friday the 13th, and I will see you guys next week.